Hey everybody, how's it going? If you can't hear me at any point, just wave your hand and I'll get a little bit closer to the speaker. So, just to start us off, most marketing talks are shit. Most of them are not good. They're trying to tell you what to do at a certain point in time, and they're pretending like they know exactly what you should do. And I'm here to tell you that that is mostly rubbish. Your marketing needs to be as unique as you. Your marketing needs to be as unique as your game. So this talk is a lot more about me helping you help yourself, not me telling you exactly how to market your game. So for me, having a chat today, I did a talk at the Game Devs of Wellington meetup earlier this week, and meetup lets people leave reviews for talks, and I got lots of really nice reviews and lots of nice feedback. Someone pointed out, they're like, yeah, great talk, really like good, accessible information, but she drinks water all the time. I guess that's an Australian thing. I was like, your water is free and delicious. I'm gonna have as much of it as I possibly can. But also, I get really nervous when I'm doing public speaking, and it makes my throat really dry, so I will be drinking a lot of water. So maybe it is, maybe it isn't an Australian thing, I don't super know. So, number one, someone tell me how many times I drink water during this talk. So, defense against the dark arts. I have called this talk that because it's about defending yourself from needing to feel like you have to compromise yourself to market, or that you are not worthy of marketing yourself, or that you're not worthy of promoting yourself, that it's something inherently embarrassing. But it's also about defending yourself against just despair. It's about helping you help yourself be expressing yourself, helping yourself get yourself out there, your game. So this statement is a true one. This statement is basically what a lot of games marketing is. Games marketing feels really confronting, really confusing, and really embarrassing because we're basically saying, I love you, will you love me back? Or, I think that I'm good for you, I think we could be good together, do you want to go out with me? We're basically saying that to our public all the time when we're marketing our games because we're like, I think you're going to like what I'm about. I'd like to keep you in my life. Could we see each other, basically? So you can take a really dating kind of attitude. You can take a friendship kind of attitude with your marketing. That's a really good mental place to be when you're trying to start getting out there and building a community. So it's not about knowing what's going to work. It's not about knowing exactly the right thing to say, but it's about being really honest and authentic and trying. So again, marketing is a lot more about hope than it is about despair. That's what good marketing is about. Any marketing that you've seen that seems gross, any games marketing that you've seen that is uncomfortable or feels wrong, is not the kind of games marketing that I feel works best for games. It's not the kind of marketing that I want you to do. So try and focus on what fills you with hope and what encourages you a lot more than whatever makes you feel uncomfortable. If anyone ever works with us for marketing, we're never going to ask them to do something that actually makes them feel really bad forever. It's kind of like going to the gym. You're going to feel a bit shy and a bit gangly and a bit unsure, but you need to start, you need to find your own momentum, you need to find what you enjoy. And if you find a style of marketing for your game that you're really into, whether it is streaming it, for example, with a weird controller, or it's just fucking going crazy with GIFs on Twitter, like you find the way that works for you, the results will be a heck of a lot better than if you try and fit yourself into what you think marketing has to look like. Okay, so I've talked about my weird water thing, I've talked to you about touchy-feely stuff. I'm here because I'm in games marketing, my Lumi Consulting team out of Melbourne. We might be best known for doing a bunch of the PR for Crossy Road. We do everything from PR, press release writing, interview arranging, but we also help people at the earliest stage to sort of say, what is this game? What's unique about this game? Why is the team excited to make it? Why does this do something unique for the public? So we do a big, varied amount of things. We have a positive reputation. People really like working with us. Our results are really good. My team all super love each other. So on the outset, I make rent, I make payroll. Our business doesn't owe any money, so we are successful. You don't feel successful when you're in the middle of it. And like we've all talked about imposter syndrome, even when we are quote unquote successful, we'll still feel terrified and confused all the time. It's the same with marketing. Even when someone's marketing is going really well, we can often get sucked into this despair spiral of, it's going good right now, but what happens tomorrow? So I just want to make it super clear that even me and our business looking really good on the surface, we are still trying to figure things out. The people that know me, and even my clients, know these things about me, these non-perfect things. So if you wait to market your game when the game is perfect, if you wait to market yourself, if you wait for you to be perfect before you express yourself, it's too late. You'll grow old and die before you'll feel ready. It's the same with marketing. It will be too late if you feel ready to market when you start. It happens way too often. Someone's like, okay, game's coming out in 2 weeks, I guess I'll start marketing now. And I'm like, oh dear God, this is not a good system. So I really encourage you to learn expressive habits, to learn ways that will make contact with people that are about what's weird about you and what's weird about your game. Bring them along on the journey. Don't wait until you feel confident, because it just doesn't happen that way. You have to start putting yourself out there, being expressive, seeing what people are responding to, see what makes you really, really happy and excited, and just do more of that shit, even if it's really fucking weird. Games marketing is a really exciting space where the most creative, weird, high-speed, bizarre marketing happens. That's why I'm so happy to be here, and that's why it can be a really fun part of your game development as well. Yeah, so I can't do this, but I'm doing it anyway. I just want to reinforce that feeling of you'll never feel ready to market. You just have to start doing things that are expressive about your game. You have to get experimental. You can absolutely look around you and take inspiration. I always recommend writing a bit of a plan, writing down a little bit of a plan, like writing out a workout regime, for example, is a good way to get started, because once it's down, once it's written as a plan, you can then evaluate, did that work for me? Do I want to change something? Oh, I am making progress, and that's a good way to find motivation. Water number 2. I waited a really long time for that one. Okay, so progress, not perfection. So when I arrived in Wellington, almost straight away when I was staying with Lucy and Mike, who are just the loveliest people ever, Lucy and I came across a notebook that said progress, not perfection. And I think her and I have said that to each other like 15 times over the week, because event management is about progress, not perfection, marketing is about progress, not perfection, and game development is exactly the same. Everything that you've learned that has helped you learn to make stuff with game development, those same emotions are important to pick up for your own marketing strategy as well. If you can learn progress, not perfection, this will help you immediately be a better marketer. It helps you be a better game creator as well. It can help you be a better person. Perfection does not exist. We always say if you wait until you're not embarrassed to release your game, you're going to wait too long. You're never going to release anything if you're not a little bit embarrassed. And that's okay. We all feel that way, even if we look confident and we cover it by drinking a lot of water. So again, lots of people come to my marketing talks and they're super fucking hoping for like a homework list. They're like, do this, and then do this. Step 5, do this, then you're going to release a game, make $1 million. I cannot tell you how to do that, because your game is as unique as you are, as unique as your team. You will release a game in a moment in time that's really special for a certain amount of people, and who the fuck knows what's going to happen? We actually just don't know. So again, this is so much about giving yourself permission to start and just picking up a pen, in the same way of like alternate controllers. That looks really fucking complicated, but now I feel invited to actually try that. So this is me inviting you. You don't need to have done a degree, have read a textbook, or have done any fucking thing to start doing something that will improve your marketing. By the way, I hope it's okay for swearing. Ooh. Too fucking late. Ha ha ha. The same as any other part of development, you can and should ask for input and ask for feedback. We have Screenshot Sunday. Like, we have lovely communities full of super smart people that give feedback on technical, tangible things a lot of the time. I don't see people asking for that with marketing assets nearly as much as I'd like to. A lot of the time people feel like, well, once I put my trailer out, this is me confidently saying something. I'm not allowed to be unsure about it before I make something public. But you honestly can. You honestly can. You can say, here's my one-line pitches, and then go to your community and ask for some feedback on that. It's always a really good idea to learn how to prioritize and triage and understand and contextualize feedback. So it's like, well, here's one person that I look up to and they told me that my icon was shit, so I'm gonna throw it out forever. Don't recommend doing that, but actually do seek feedback on marketing assets before you make them public or before you go to a community. Try and find someone that you're like, this is someone who really likes games that feel like the game I'm trying to make, and I really want to know their opinion. So I definitely encourage you to do a lot more collaboration and feedback on each other's marketing assets as well as like any other part of your game that you're actually making. So put up a trailer draft and ask for some feedback. Show people some icons that you're thinking of doing and see what people think. Or try pitching your game, which is so fucking terrifying. I totally understand, because again, we're saying, I love you, please love me, and that's really fucking scary. But still, try doing it. You'll take a lot of fear out of something if you've done it before. So don't try and basically pitch your game or say the words about the game that you wish you were making to the public for the first time without having practiced it as well, because you can sort of fail repeatedly, privately or semi-publicly before you risk failing in the most terrifying way, right? So try and take the fear out of it by talking to your colleagues, talking to each other, or talking to smaller groups before you go public about it. Iteration, testing, collaboration, and feedback, valuable for marketing as much as any other part of your game development. And again, yep, if you don't know what you're doing, welcome to the club. I'm a professional marketer. Like, it can still feel like I don't super know. I have collaboratively done a lot of very good guessing and estimation, and we're going to creatively put some things out there. I'm not putting all of my eggs in any one basket. I'm iterating, I'm testing, I'm being creative, I'm basing stuff on research, I'm basing stuff on experience and knowledge. But that's why games is exciting. Like, it moves so fast and so immediately that we basically need to just try. We just need to try. Yep, so we do fail, certain things don't go so well, but because marketing is a process and because marketing should be part of the expressive habits of you and your project anyway, it's okay to do those stumbles and to do those mini fails. Mostly the worst thing that happens is that it's a moment in time, it doesn't hit the way that you wanted it to, and you can move on. It's completely fine, especially because we're not massive AAA companies and things like that. So GIF didn't work this week. Don't super know why, but let's just try something else next week, so it's okay. It's all right. Cool. So, as I've said, this is so much more about having the self-forgiveness and having the habits that will let you start to experiment with marketing that is unique and authentic to you. However, these are the things that help basically everyone that we work with. I cannot speak to you or to you or to you in the room because I don't know you, I don't know your project, platforms, genres, what you're going for. But these are things that basically can help everyone. Think of your players like petals in flower. Flower's one of my favorite games. So we talked a little bit about making a marketing plan and making a schedule. Just start listing and drafting something. When I'm looking at marketing plans that someone has compiled, again, it's as unique as the game and as unique as the people. But a very good marketing plan follows a design that will let you contact, communicate with, and basically touch people and bring them with you on the journey. That's what a really good marketing plan is designed like. So your marketing plan says, I'm going to go to PAX Australia. We're going to have a sheet with the laptop that everyone's playing on. That's a mailing list for signups. So if someone loves it, they can give me their email. I'll add them to my mailing list and they'll get an email every month from me. Or I will share all my bugs on Twitter in GIF form. Or I will do a weekly dev blog video. A really good marketing plan is designed so that you are being expressive and there are ways for someone to connect with you and follow you. So you don't have to go all the way through development and then take a portion of the public from 0 to 100, for 0 being, I don't know who the fuck you are, and 100 being, I worship you. You're not asking people to go from nothing to love immediately, but you can develop a relationship with them over time. That's what a really good marketing plan looks like. We all know how hype and anticipation feels, right? A lot of us were super excited about Mass Effect Andromeda. We knew about Mass Effect Andromeda for a really long time. We also know about indie games that we're super excited about for a long time in advance. So by forming a relationship and by designing a plan that lets us form relationships with the people that will love us along the way, we release to an audience and we release to a community, and that has a lot more value. It's also really affordable for us to do. So there are many ways in the world of social media, etc., the Reddits, the YouTubes, streaming, where what we're really asking for is a bit of investment of time. We're asking for an investment of creativity, but you can do this. Everyone in the room of us has access to marketing channels that my predecessors would have dreamt of. We don't need to have $100,000 for a TV ad. Marketing these days is creative, it's cheap, we can all get started and amazing things are happening. So again, whatever your marketing plan is, no matter how you start, design it around contacting and keeping people that love you and what you're about in your life on your journey, the same way that we approach relationships and love, which is, such a touchy-feely theme to my whole talk. Okay, so the games as cuisine theory is one of the things that we talk about that is especially useful for students, especially useful for people that are very early in the days. So instead of pitching your game or talking to your team about the game that you want to make, please focus so much more about flavor instead of ingredients. So instead of saying, I want to do a 2D isometric shooter with destructible environments that's kind of like Fallout and Doom had a baby, that's a list of ingredients. That's not inspiring and exciting to me in the same way that, for example, Firewatch pitches itself as a mystery set in the Wyoming wilderness where your only connection is a person on the end of a handheld radio. That is an emotional, flavorful description. If you realize the way you want your players to feel, and if you start your development story together based on the way that you want your players to feel, you free yourself up to find the ingredients along the way. So even though I know that I love RPGs, I'm a lot more willing and flexible as a player to fall in love with a game that's not an RPG if I love the idea of the way this game might make me feel. So if you can get everyone on board with flavor, if you can get everyone on board with the emotions that you'd like to evoke in a player, and this is applicable even if your game is not a narrative one. If you want heart-pumping, thrilling, destructive, and a violent game experience, that's completely fine as well. That's still emotional language. But don't go for, it's kind of like Candy Crush meets Call of Duty kind of thing. Like, don't borrow on anyone else's successes because you will teach your public to have preconceived ideas about things. As marketers, a lot of people have asked us for our opinions on No Man's Sky, for example. With No Man's Sky, the major concern that I had from the very early days was that the team was very pressured, from what I can see, to list ingredients and list features straight away. People are hungry for features, but really what they want is feeling. What they want is inspiration and connection. So go through 2/3 or 3/4 of your development focusing a lot more on saying, this is the way we're wanting players to feel. We are exploring these things because we think they evoke a sense of competition, a sense of mastery, a sense of discovery, but allow yourself to be surprised by the ingredients that will serve you. By being very, very much focused on feelings and flavors, you can actually surprise players by coming into a game and have totally unexpected mechanics and an aesthetic that really surprises them. It's like, oh, you want to talk about divorce and heartbreak, but it's a very abstracted, purple and black only colored game. Like, these things are unusual, these things are exciting. So again, flavor, not ingredients. I'm very excited I could include cakes in my talk. So again, start with flavor, go down to ingredients, be a lot more willing to swap these ingredients or your features, your mechanics, the physical components of your game, swap them out in service for the flavor. If the feeling isn't there, really sticking to your preconceived ideas of the ingredients you need will not help your game. So target your market via feelings and not demographics. So a lot of people ask us, well, how do I decide what my target market is? So a bit of a history lesson. With target markets and sort of the history of marketing, people used to decide their target market based on demographics. So they would say, this game or this movie is for men from 15 to 25 in the Western English-speaking world. Marketers did that because that was the best kind of data that we had, because the best data collecting tool we had in pre-2000 was the census. So we only knew how to see people with demographics. So in the pre-information age, demographics was kind of the only way we knew for targeting people. But these days, 2010 onwards, in marketing is what we call the consumer age. We are in this age of the empowered consumer and hyper-curation. So you and I don't watch TV, we watch Netflix. When we're on the internet, we can watch YouTube about the weirdest shit that we want. We don't need to listen to the radio, and we can listen to podcasts. We are now in this age where we as marketers call it permission marketing. Permission marketing means that you and I only allow in the marketing messages and the assets into our life that we enjoy and that we want there, which is terrifying for marketers. But it's awesome. It's creative because it means that our connection must be authentic, because otherwise I'm just going to spend $100,000 on a TV ad. Maybe 2 people who love what I'm about will actually take an action from that. But instead, I can make, for example, a pre-roll ad in an Overwatch stream for something that really sort of supports competition and vibrant color and character-driven gameplay in a way that Overwatch characters can love. So as a marketer, I can be so specific about emotional rewards instead of demographics. I don't encourage anyone to say, my game is for 15 to 25-year-old men. Throw that out the window. I really encourage you to have a look to say, this game is for people who love thriller experiences. These are for players that love to feel fear and disgust for this horror game, or this is for people that love narrative immersion and interpersonal conflict in their games. Talk a lot more about emotions when you're targeting your market. By going for this, by putting aside demographic expectations to say this game is for 15 to 25-year-old men, we see things like the Gudetama character. So Gudetama, for the first time, they really built a character that was around existential angst and feeling kind of like hopeless and floppy and sad and unmotivated about stuff. And the design team did not go for a demographic target market. And Gudetama has now been one of the most popular, well-loved characters that has an amazing gender split / gender distribution for fans, because they never had in their mind that this character was going to sell with a certain demographic, but instead the dread that lives in all of us, basically. And that's a huge marketing success. Your game can be a lot more about that. So forget demographics when it comes to target markets, but instead go for emotional touchstones as well. Cool, this is probably the most prescriptive slides that I have. They're good slides to take photos of. I'm going to put everything up online. This answers common questions. It's one slide and another slide, where basically someone says, Lauren, how do I spend my marketing budget? Or someone has pitched me this opportunity. How do I decide if it's good or not? Again, it's going to be as personal as you and your game. But this really shows that in general terms, these are the marketing activities that I see that tap the most into emotional rewards for the best return on investment, that can be very creative, very personal, and can be super affordable. If they have an asterisk, it means you have to be quite purposeful, because these could potentially be expensive and wasteful activities if you don't have a pretty good plan about how to do them. So don't just do it if you're not sure about what your plan is going into it. But that's kind of just the ones with asterisks. The other ones are just like, fucking go for it, just give it a go. So, you might say, I'm not going to go for anything that's meh, I'll take a couple of good, and I'm going to give a go at everything that's in the awesome categories. And I think that would be a pretty healthy approach So laying out your marketing plan to say, I want my game to evoke these feelings in the player. I think it might start with some of these ingredients, but I'm not super sure. I'm going to lay out these activities that I've selected that I think might be good. I want to lay it out with a schedule. I want to give myself a plan week to week that I'm going to do some of these things. Start somewhere. You'll fuck up and you'll forget and you'll put it off, and that's fine. But if you start with a plan and if you start with some structure, it's like learning how to work out, or it's learning how to learn. You know, as a game developer, if you give yourself a curriculum or someone gives you structure, it can be a lot better to like bring yourself through. Here's another super common question that we get is like, when do I start marketing my game? I think I've made it pretty clear in my talk that as soon as you have something that makes you excited, you can start sharing some of these concepts with the world and not marrying yourself to them, but just practicing being expressive and practicing every week, kind of like every week going for a walk, the same way every week share something on Twitter or put some screenshots up in your community. So start marketing your game. Hannah Flynn is a colleague of mine who's amazing. She's off on maternity leave. Her and her wife are going to have a baby soon, and I'm so emotional about that. But she's amazing. I definitely recommend following her on Twitter. And she puts out really good advice. She does like indie marketing surgery Sundays where you can like tweet her with your problems and she'll help you. Marketers, we're all obsessed with communication and connection. Games marketers are actually super authentic people. I know some people can think that we're a bit slimy and maybe some of us have done some not so great things, but a lot of us really care. We want good things to happen to good games. So a lot of us are like so open for asking help, giving feedback. To a certain degree, you know, like I do have to pay my staff and stuff like that. So if it's going to take a long time, that's a working relationship and we can talk about that. But if you just want some feedback, I won't make that scary. And your colleagues and like my other game marketers that I know, we're not going to make it scary either. So please notice that in this talk, I have not told you to read a certain textbook. I haven't encouraged you to like do a certain degree or absolutely do a certain thing, but instead the best thing that you can do for yourself is give yourself permission to stuff up, to not be perfect, and to forgive yourself. This is really important when it comes to like game developer mental health, when it comes to everything that we're doing as developers, because it's so passion driven and it's so vulnerable and it's so much an expression of ourselves that when things don't go well, it can feel like personal rejection or it can feel like personal failure. And that's really, really hard. So in games marketing, as with anything else in games, please forgive yourself. Learn to experiment. This helps everyone in everything to do with games, but it absolutely counts with marketing. You can be creative and you can be experimental with games marketing, and the best games marketing we ever see does these things. Also learn to celebrate. It can be very hard to feel like, well, I don't know why my games marketing worked, so I'm not going to like share it with anyone because success is embarrassing and failure is embarrassing. It's kind of like you're fucked either way. So it really can feel very confronting in that way. But learning to celebrate, learning to love what went well, learning to love the learning when stuff doesn't go well, these are all really good things. If you feel uncomfortable to celebrate your own game or to celebrate yourself, celebrate it because of the people that helped you get there. Whether that's your team or whether that's your teachers or your partner that supported you through development, for example, celebrate because of them. In the same way that you might go into a negotiation with Sony and it can be really hard to feel greedy because you're fighting for yourself, if you have to, fight on behalf of everyone that supported you, everyone that believed in you, everyone that encouraged you as well. So absolutely learn to celebrate things because otherwise we'll always keep chasing success and not know how to let that have a healthy place in our life. Cool, so this has been the most emotional and weird marketing talk you've ever heard. Thank you so much for that. I've got a hashtag that's there, which I forgot to talk to everybody about, but you can tweet me using that hashtag if you have particular questions. I'll absolutely be here to respond to you. My Twitter handle's been there the whole time. Probably the most direct marketing homework I'll give you is that Twitter is good for everyone. Twitter can be garbage, but it's a really good habit-making way to learn expression, to learn community building, and to start putting yourself out there. It's a really good, super approachable way to start. So yeah, I recommend getting Twitter. You can contact me. My email is in my Twitter bio. You can always ask for my business card. Having business card can be the second piece of homework. That's good for anyone. Yeah, and I've had a beautiful time in Wellington. Thank you so much to everyone who's brought me here. Everyone who lets me be way too personal and swear at a professional conference. It's fucking awesome. It's been lovely. We're all terrified, and that's okay. Thank you.